calling her racist might be, well, maybe just calling it what it is. And I was like, oh, shit.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a different type of video. I am going to be doing a story time, and it's because this story is kind of fresh because it happened recently. I have three major passions in life. If you can't already tell, one of them is fitness, and that's pretty much why I started this whole channel. My second biggest passion has to be leggings, obviously, because I've done like 4 legging hauls on this channel and reviewing leggings. Another reason why I love fitness. I just want to hang out in leggings all day. But my third biggest passion in life has to be mental health awareness. I have always struggled with major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety. And as I progressed in life, I was later diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm not ashamed to talk about it. I've had this used against me. I've had people walk away in my life because they thought that I was just too much to deal with or too much or didn't know how to speak to me. So this is something that I've kind of accepted about myself and I'm willing to accept with others, and to be open-minded and to have an open heart with others. That's just kind of my backstory with mental health, and this is why I want to talk about this story time. Now, I have been seeing therapists for, I think, I would have to say 4 or 5 years, and over the course of those years, I've relocated a lot of different times in my life, and I've had to start over with a new therapist. I've had good therapists and I've had bad therapists. So I reached out to this therapist because I received a referral from another mental health professional, and they said that she may be a good fit for me. I don't know if they knew her personally as much as they knew that she was a licensed therapist. For the most part, if you're a therapist, you probably are a good person and you want to help people, and that's why I want to be an LMFT and I'm pursuing a PsyD degree. I want to help people because I've seen how some of my therapists have helped me get through awful times in my life, and I want to do that for someone else. Your first appointment with your therapist is usually you summarizing why you're here, what you want to work on. But if I could just make a PowerPoint that just explains everything, some graphs, some pie charts, my happiness levels, it would be great. But that is not the case. You have to talk to them, you have to recap your whole life, everything, the good times, the bad times, how's your relationship with your family, how's your relationship with your mother, all of that. And a lot of therapists on the first meeting will not force you to open up about everything because it's kind of an awkward situation and it's a very vulnerable situation for the client to be in. So a lot of therapists will tell you, you know, you don't have to talk about this today, just in general, what are you here for? You don't have to tell the whole story. And she didn't really do that with me. She didn't really give me an out to kind of hold back. She was kind of prying already on the first appointment. Met a few more times, and each time I just found myself walking out feeling either just feeling like I didn't get to talk enough or get whatever I needed off my chest, or sometimes I felt even angrier or more depressed when I left, and sometimes I was visibly upset when I was leaving the appointment, and she didn't even really care. Most therapists will ask you to contract for safety, where they make you promise that you'll call them if you don't feel safe. I feel like our sessions ended very abruptly, where I was on the verge of tears or just very heated or very upset, and she was just like,
oh, okay, so see you Wednesday, we have an appointment at 12.
But we are going to go into one of the biggest factors of me deciding to abruptly end our therapeutic relationship, and that was she was racially ignorant. I guess calling her racist might be, well, maybe just calling it what it is. If we're going to bring race into it, like, yes, she is Caucasian. That never bothered me. I've had therapists of different races and different ages. I guess the first instance where I kind of realized that something wasn't right about her was when she suggested that I do a Vietnamese beauty pageant. I don't even know why she said this. I think I was talking about finding like little part-time jobs on the side that I could do. And she said something along the lines of,
have you ever considered entering a Vietnamese beauty pageant because you can win a lot of money that way?
I feel like that's a weird suggestion to make because I've confided to her in the past that I've struggled with bulimia and anorexia. I know that body image is something that I struggle with. And also, why would she suggest just a Vietnamese beauty pageant as much as any beauty pageant? So I thought that was weird, but it wasn't enough for me to want to end the relationship right in there. This is kind of a bunch of things that she said. And she would ask me kind of stupid questions, I guess, about being Vietnamese or Asian in general. And it wasn't really anything from what I brought up with her. I remember she asked me one time, I mentioned something about how someone I know that is Vietnamese and I'm Vietnamese, for some reason they don't trust Chinese people, and I don't agree with that, and it upsets me that they feel that way and have that prejudice. And she asked me,
well, aren't Vietnamese people Chinese?
And I was like, no. It was a bizarre question. I don't know if it's that mentality that the default Asian is Chinese. People would always ask me if I was Chinese. I grew up that way. I remember in college, one of my professors it was the first day of school, I think, and he was going around the class asking, you know, where we were from. And he was asking this not to everyone though, but to the foreign exchange students. And I remember him getting to me and him asking me where I'm from, and I'm like,
Boston. I'm from Boston.
And he was like,
no, like, where are you actually from?
And I'm like, in Boston. Eventually I got kind of fed up and I was like, well, my ethnicity is Vietnamese. And he said,
oh, how's the weather there?
And I'm like, I don't fucking know. My therapist asking me that kind of triggered it, and it's a very weird question to ask. Like, what do you mean are Vietnamese people Chinese? She also kept asking me a lot of questions about the Lunar New Year, which is something I didn't bring up at all. The Lunar New Year was never a huge celebration for us, and she just kept asking me question after question. She's like, why is it different from our New Year? And I'm like, I don't know. I just told you I don't know. And she kept asking me, and it was just weird because it wasn't relevant to our conversation at all. I think the thing that aggravated me the most, there are a few things that she said, but this was one of those. I spoke about how, you know, moving here is a little bit of a culture shock just because I had never really been involved in the Asian community. It's not necessarily bad, but I just noticed just some cultural differences. The Asians in my college were usually foreign, so they were foreign exchange students, and we just didn't have that much in common. I always hung out with my swim team or just my roommate. She asked me something along the lines of,
oh, like they let them into school? Don't they not know how to speak English?
And I was just flabbergasted that she could even ask that, and I'm like, no, they do know how to speak English. A lot of them know how to speak English and have better grammar than the people that have grown up here, and they're very intelligent and come from great schools. And there is a diversity quota that sometimes, you know, is in their favor, but they definitely got in on merit. And she asked me and says,
oh, do you think that helped you get into your school?
And I was just in disbelief that she would even ask me that. I got very defensive, which I think it makes sense why I would. And I said, no, I got in on my own merit. I worked my ass off in high school. I was visibly upset when I was answering her, and she didn't even seem to get that I felt offended. Another big thing, this doesn't have to do with race, but I talked about it, how it pissed me off, how I get a lot of disgusting comments and just behavior from men, and I think a lot of it has to do with me being Asian. And if you look into my comments section on any of these videos, it kind of sucks, and I have to go through and filter things and block people and delete different comments, and I know that just comes with being a girl posting like videos of herself working out or in activewear or swimwear or whatever it is, or just in clothes, that you get those comments. But I think it gets worse as an Asian woman. But we're fetishized very heavily. I don't know what guys expect me to be like. I don't know if they expect me to be very passive or submissive towards them, but that is something I really am not, if you know me very well. It really stresses me out and just provokes all this anxiety, which is great that I'm on YouTube right now, but whatever. It really triggers me though, and I talked to her about it, and there's an instance where I was being harassed by this guy at a bar, but I didn't really know what to do with myself, and I was just kind of like paralyzed and frozen. She was just like, well, like, why didn't you just leave? And it's just a dumb question to ask when you're a therapist, because I have spoke about my PTSD and trauma and anxiety, and that prevents me from being able to handle situations the way I'd like to. So she's just like asked me like an idiot why I didn't do this and why I didn't do that, and I was like, well, you're the therapist, you know that I have PTSD and trauma. And she said something along the line,
well, oh, but don't you like getting attention from guys because you're pretty?
I'm like, are you kidding me? It's just a dumb question to ask like any woman who has been through any kind of trauma. So this is something that she did multiple times that really pissed me off, and I just don't understand like why she did this. She would always bring up money with me, and money wasn't a topic that I was bringing up. It was something that she was curious about me, because I told her I lived in Newport Beach, and I told her that I went to Coachella last year and that I have a ticket for this year, but I'm deciding whether or not I want to go or if I want to sell it and invest in something else. And she kept asking me questions about like how much money I made and like how I can afford to live in such a nice area. It's just stupid and inappropriate to ask. Like, are your checks bouncing? No? Okay, then why are you still bringing this up? So I should probably mention how I ended the relationship with her, because that was kind of uncomfortable. It didn't really hit me until I walked out of the building that I was like, I don't want to see her Wednesday. I'm really mad right now. I'm even more mad than when I came in. So I decided that I was going to call her and leave a voicemail to break it up with her. Because, I don't know, I didn't know if the same rules apply as the ones in a relationship where, I don't know, you don't really text your boyfriend to break up with him, or I don't know, can you? I feel like that's frowned upon, or at least Taylor Swift showed me. I felt like I at least owed her a voicemail, and I knew leaving my appointment that she had a client right after me, so she was going to be busy and in session. So I called thinking that her phone was probably off or she wasn't going to answer it and just let it go to voicemail, but she picks up and she's like, hey, what's up? And I am like, oh. And I just kind of mutter something about leaving, for thinking that I left something at her office, and she's like, oh, what? I'll go look for it. And I said, oh, it's just a piece of paper. And she's like, a piece of paper? And I'm like, yeah, it's a ticket. Which I don't know why my head went to ticket. I don't know. I was thinking maybe like a parking ticket, I could say, but you don't need a parking ticket to park in front of her building at all. While she was looking for this ticket and going to text me back, I decided that I was going to call the front office of the place that she works. I just told them, like, I don't feel comfortable talking to her about it, but I don't want to see her again. I need to cancel all my appointments with her. So I get off the phone and she texts me and she's like, I didn't find the paper. And I'm like, okay, well, thanks for checking. And then I get a call from her and I pick up and she asks me, she's like, hey, did you call the front office? Did you need something? And I was like, oh shit. So I say, yeah, I called not because I left something. I feel really bad. I'm sorry that I lied, but I just couldn't be straightforward with you. But I thought that you were in a session with a client, so I wouldn't have to talk to you. And I just like leave a voicemail, but I don't want to see you anymore. I don't think it's a good fit. I think I should go back to my old therapist or someone that knows me better. I'm really sorry. I appreciate everything you've done for me, but this isn't working. And she was actually really cool about it. Again, I don't think she's a bad person as much as just not the right therapist for me, or maybe just any woman in my situation, or just any Asian woman, just not a good fit. So I hope you like this video. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions or just want to make a comment and I'll reply. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I have some new things that I want to do. I definitely want to do a review on the Buff Bunny collection that dropped over the last month and a half. I have a few items from there that I've been meaning to review. Same with the Till You Collapse launch. I want to do some Lulu dupes, maybe an affordable activewear review, or my suggestions for, you know, balling on a budget. Maybe some more workout videos. I was even thinking a makeup tutorial. So yeah, let me know if any of that sounds good to you. I will see you in my next video. Bye!